The collapse of MG Rover. We reveal details of a savage report into the men who bought it for just £10. They paid themselves £42 million in salaries and pensions before 6,000 workers lost their jobs. We'll be asking how they could have made a fortune while the last British-owned volume car maker went to the wall. Also tonight. A new owner for Vauxhall, but unions warn of an uncertain future for thousands of workers.
I don't know what's going to happen, you know. Nobody knows.
There's a future in Luton, that's all that matters for us, really.
Corporal John Harrison died trying to rescue a journalist. Now there are questions over whether the mission was worth the loss of a soldier. 20 years since the fall of the Berlin Wall, the government papers which show what British ministers really thought about German unification. England's contribution to a goal fest in the European Championship final, but the women's team were humbled by Germany.
In the West, an amazing escape. The man who fell 80 feet off a cliff and walked away. And is football coming home? A World Cup team sizes up Bristol as a venue for the World Cup. That's in 25 minutes.
Good evening. The collapse of MG Rover marked the end of British-owned volume car production. Tonight we can reveal the details of a savage report into how 5 men enriched themselves from a company already on its knees. The independent report into the demise of MG Rover in 2005 will be published tomorrow, and it will say that John Towers and his fellow executives paid themselves £42 million in salaries and pensions. The car maker had been bought for just £10. Here's our business editor, Robert Peston.
May 2000, John Towers, a hero in the Midlands, as his Phoenix consortium bought MG Rover for a notional £10 and promised to refuel and mend this iconic British motor manufacturer. April 2005, a hero no longer, Rover days away from insolvency. The only thing refueled during the 5-year journey were the bank balances of John Towers and his 3 partners, the so-called Phoenix Four, £9 million each for Nick Stevenson, Peter Beale, John Edwards and, of course, John Towers, who together pocketed £36 million in pay and pensions, plus £5.7 million for their chief executive, Kevin Howe, according to a damning report by government-appointed inspectors. That report is a humiliating 800-page catalogue of how the Phoenix Four enriched themselves while the last UK-owned mass-market motor manufacturer hurtled towards collapse, which is a bit embarrassing for a government which initially tried to claim credit for helping to arrange Phoenix's purchase of Rover from BMW.
Our role has been to bring people together and to move the negotiations forward. It was the government that brought John Towers and BMW together for the first time face-to-face exactly a month ago.
So what may surprise some is that there's no criticism of the government in the report, which has cost the taxpayer £16 million. And although the way that the Phoenix Four and their chief executive extracted all that cash may well prompt outrage, the inspectors do not believe they broke the law. Even so, many will regard it as sad, almost tragic, that one of the great names of British motor manufacturing lives on perhaps only as a byword for corporate greed.
And Robert's with me now. As you say, Robert, a scathing report. What happens now? What's the fallout?
Well, scathing about the Phoenix Four, I think many will notice that there's no criticism at all of the government or ministers. Let's be clear, the government was intimately involved in this saga. As we heard Stephen Byers saying, helping to broke the deal that allowed the Phoenix Four to buy this company, right at the end, involved in attempts to